All right. What is happening? Thanks for jumping in. What's up, fellas? How are you guys?
What's up? Pretty good.
Nice, man. Appreciate you guys jumping in. A little coffee and coaching this morning. So, how are things out in Pittsburgh?
It's the sun has finally shined the last 2 days. It's been like I had my sunglasses on driving to the office today. And I'm like, I think this is the first time I've wore sunglasses in like 2 months. Like it literally has been gray and snowy, and it's been an ugly winter. So hopefully this is kind of the end, but I'm sure there'll be one more storm to
one more blizzard
reality. Yeah.
Yeah, it was -2 here this time last week, and now yesterday it was 70.
There you go.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. We got
you guys got hammered, right?
Hammered.
Yeah,
we got so lucky. Where we're at, no frozen pipes, no power loss. So it was very fortunate for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Very fortunate for sure. So what's up, man? Appreciate you guys jumping in, hanging out with us. Definitely the two of you guys jumping in, making the time, little coffee and coaching, and just want to just kind of talk business, talk any kind of direction where you guys kind of want to go. Would love to get kind of some background perspective for everybody, listening in. And I mean, your guys' story it's awesome. So, I mean, I can sit here and listen to it, just tell the story again.
Go ahead, Deej. Fire it up.
What do you want to, I don't know. Actually, this week, John, I had a lot of people just reaching out to me about still like where we were getting a lot of our listing business, and we're still hammering the phones. I think for our team, what this time has helped with is everyone sharpening the axe, right? Like now it's been having to make a lot more dials. There's a lot more excuses. We still got pandemic. We got it's not spring yet. There's just a lot of factors, where the rates go and et cetera. But things have been really picking up, with anything, the consistency, the effort. And, I'd say the older expireds have been the gold. The 1 year out, the 2 year out, like that's still, there's a lot of motivated sellers. So that's really ramped up in the last few weeks, but yeah, we're still hammering the phones there, and it's still works. It always works. There's tough days, there's good days, but the consistency, that's everything.
Man, it's funny you said that. I was chatting with Stace up in Lawton, and that's what they've been focused on. Just they keep, he's a hoarder. He keeps every one of the seller net sheets. So when they have a seller lead comes in, seller net sheet, and they save them all. And so times like this, they just start going back through them all and reaching back out to people and be like, hey, when we chatted 2 years ago, I told you that you weren't in a position to sell. Things are different. If you guys wanted an opportunity to get out of your home, we can make it happen now. And so it's been crazy. I mean, that's where a majority of their business, and I think that's what Deej, you were saying. That's what we're seeing is where a lot of the business is just coming from working the older conversations and the nurtures.
Yeah, you made a good point there. Like, I know we always say you can't manufacture motivation. However, because we've had such a dynamic market, there's always that little greed bug, right? So a year ago, if you expired, right now I've been successful just saying to people, hey, if there's ever a time that you're looking to get top dollar, right? If that's what you're after, this is the time to do it. And that's allowed me to get listings now from people that were really saying, I'm going to wait another 6 months, another year. I'm good. We'll just see. So that's been working. Also, being the lack of inventory on the buy side, we're having some success reaching out to expireds to help them find a new home. So that's been another angle, that putting in that extra effort. And, if it works there, it's fantastic. Everybody wins. But for any reason, if it's not a match, that seller still got to meet with us and say, hey, this agent's putting effort. Nobody else is doing that. And then you're going to be first in line for the listing when they're ready. I had a guy last week, this happened. Christine on our team showed him the property, nice property. And he said, you know what? You got me excited. I think I'm going to just start applying for jobs in Florida. And he's on his third interview right now. And fingers crossed, he gets this job this week. We're selling his house next week. So it's like, things like that. It's just, I just telling the story and saying, hey, here's what's possible now, and take advantage of the market.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And I think, and I was just looking through our numbers in our like our closings and pendings and things like that. We were having a huge February, and we had a really slow January. And it's like, oh shit, what's going on here? And we didn't have a great December, right? And then, and now I look, and it's like 9 closed and pending unexpireds already, and it's only February, which is good. And we have a huge pipeline of potential listings coming up now. So it's like, although I know we took our foot off the gas. No matter what we say every year, we always have a terrible January. Like I know we talk about this on our coaching. It drives me nuts. Why can't we just power through the winter? But we can't, apparently, here. It's just like the holidays, whatever it is, we can't. But now we're seeing all of that stuff come to fruition from the January work that these guys were hammering and putting in. DJ's calling, Tim's calling, Mike's calling, Angel's calling some days, Jen's calling now. So we have put an emphasis on going after sellers, and we have a big pipeline, and we've got a big pipeline of listings coming up. So I think they're still there. It's just you got to dig a little deeper. You got to call a little bit more. You got to go through more contacts, but the listings are still there.
Yeah. Is it what stops? And as coaching your team, leading your team, like what do you see that's the biggest hurdle to overcome from people not trying to go after that particular source, not focused on expireds, old expireds, cancels, withdrawals? Like what's the block?
Fear. My feeling is it's fear. Like people are willing to do the work, but I think that, and Tina mentioned it recently on one of her videos, right? It's not a skill that you can give up after a month or 2 months. Like you got to push through, because it is hard. And when you have all this effort, right? Even after a week, it's like the gym. If you're going to the gym every day and you don't lose any weight, and it's week 2, week 3, that's why a lot of people quit that. It's like, it's not working. But all that effort, a lot of people don't realize you're getting better with every call. You're getting better each week. And if you just push through that wall, you get to the point where your skills do improve enough where you're going to get that appointment. You're going to get the next one. So I really feel it's hard. It's hard to stay consistent, right? Because it's easy to get busy with other things. I'm going to do CMAs, I'm going to do reports, I got paperwork, I got emails, but the time blocking, the consistency, and knowing in your mind, like anybody can do it. Like we said about Matt, right? Matt, he's not a natural born salesman. He worked his ass off to become that, and learned the scripts and practiced to where now he can do it as good or better than anybody else can. But it was just he formed that skill. So I think it's just fear that is what sets him up.
And I think it's like, you tell somebody, well, you got to go do 100 deals this year. How are you going to do it? Like, it just seems like this enormous task. It seems like such a long road to become a skilled outbound prospector. And if you don't have that discipline or grit that you're going to power through it, because it's a long game. It's a 3-month, 6-month training game, doing it every day, getting your teeth kicked in to get to the point where then it all starts hitting. Because it's not only the calls, it's not only going through the rejection, it's now you're going on a listing appointment and you don't get it. You said the wrong thing. So now you just I just put in all of this work for 2 months, and now I finally got 2 listing appointments and I didn't get them. Like that was what happened with Tim a little bit at first. And he's crushing it now. But it was like, dude, you're doing everything. You just stay the course. But that's such a hard game at first. But like Now 6 months in, I mean, he came on in August. Now I think he's got 6 pendings, like a couple of them FISBOs, like crushing it.
He had 3 this week follow up with him. So, like, to prove more to your point, they're calling him back now saying, you know what, Tim, we had such a good call. We got called by 30 of their agents, but you stood out because you seemed more as a consultant versus a pushy salesperson with commission breath.
That was DJ called them too. That was DJ, the pushy salesperson.
He was one of the other
other guys. Yeah, that's when Tim got on DJ.
So, you know, I see the one of the things that's kind of on my mind when it comes to this is they want to say, well, I lack the confidence to be able to be able to do that. What do I need to say? And what we have to remember about confidence is that, you know, we have to have, you know, make the commitment and then have the courage to develop the skills to where the confidence is then going to show. And, you know, for the, you know, somebody coming on board with you guys, you can help them with that courage and until they can get to confidence. You can help them develop that skill set. Mm-hmm. But somebody that, like, even for the, I mean, you guys had each other to be able to ping and pong off of, but what would you say if somebody's out there kind of struggling and they don't have a DJ or a Matt to lean on every day to hold them accountable to their commitments while they're having the courage to work towards the confidence? What would you say that you know they, you know, would need to do?
I mean, my opinion, that's why the team structure is so powerful, right? Like, for anybody new that, say, is not on a team, at a minimum, getting with a role play partner, getting involved in groups with others in the same scenario. You know, I do one, I do a seller one now every week. We're going to do a buyer one starting next week, you know, 1 hour a week. And I tell everybody, even, you know, wherever brokerage they're at, wherever they're at, join. Like, the more the merrier. Like, I truly enjoy it. It helps me kind of up my game as well, right? You know, because then I'm on the pressure. And honestly, it's harder sometimes in front of peers than when it's really with clients, because you're talking to a stranger. You're like, well, if I mess this up, I'll get the next one. When you're around your peers, just like, you know, me with, say, video or Instagram, you're like, do I look okay? Is this going to be okay? Is it, you know? So, yeah, I think it's just like you nailed it. For the newer agent, that's why I say, like, being with the right team and mentors is huge. Like, if I didn't have Matt as a business partner all these years, there's no way I'd be where I'm at today, because the only other way I would have done it is with someone that took me under their wing and said, I've been through this. I can tell you from experience, here's the pitfalls not to do this. But yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah,
I mean, I think you have to find stuff to tie into, and sometimes it's hard to, it's that whole motivation versus discipline thing. Like, there were times, I remember when I first came to Pittsburgh, like, I had no business, I had no sphere, and like I had taught myself some pay-per-click so I could generate some buyer leads, and I wanted to go after listings, and I didn't have any money, so I didn't have any coaching programs to tie into. I stole everything I could off of YouTube. I mean, I watched every YouTube video. I used to watch before I would get on the phone, I would watch a Derek Lipsky expired cold call, and I would listen to it again, and I would stand up and I'd be playing 50 Cent. Like, I'd have to set myself up to get through it. Some days, like, you just couldn't do it. And like, but I always was tying into somebody who was doing it well, that I could get for free. And you would listen to a couple of those, you'd get because a lot of it is just, we tell these guys all the time, like, this was always my hard part, obviously, is just the sheer enthusiasm. You know, DJ's, and he just, like, he wins just on enthusiasm sometimes. He could totally screw up the call, but they just like him. And then we'll go to a listing appointment. He could, you know, you don't even know if he does great in a listing appointment or even prepares one. He just, by the time he's leaving, he's carrying the kid and petting the dog on the way out. Like, he wins on that side of things. But for somebody like me, who's who's a little bit more of an introvert, I had to find and tap into that stuff. I remember just every day when I was in my car driving, I was listening to the Haas Pratt, FSBO, and expired calls. Like I had them all downloaded on my phone, and that's all I listened to. I listened to all 10 of the expired calls before I got to the office in the morning, and then I had to go right into it. So I did there's certain stuff like that. I mean, there's so much information on the internet these days. Like you can tie into it, you can listen to people, but a lot of it is just the repetitiveness of hearing the same. It's the same 5 rebuttals all the time, right? So if you just concentrate on those, you'll be okay when you get on those calls. Like
another thing to add, really, I mean, it's you guys that have helped me with this. I mean, it's only taken me 40 years to figure this out, but the getting up in the structured day, where my whole life as a sales guy, I was arrogant about it. Like I can go out, I can still, party, drink, I can still make my sales. My numbers were always good, but you've got to be completely dialed in. That getting up in the morning and starting your day the right way with, meditation, prayer, a good workout, because then on your phone, it's totally different. When I do that, my days on the phone, I feel so much better and I win more because I'm happier, I'm more confident, where it's the opposite, the reactive, where you're running in the office like you're on fire and you're jumping on the phones and, Matt's seen it a million times.
This game, the sales game, the expired listing FSBO game is just consistency. If you say I'm just going to come in and do it every day, you could absolutely suck it. You will get better, and if you do it every day just by numbers, you will get listings. Unless you're just terrible at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you just stay consistent with it. You mentioned 50 Cent, and then DJ, you said fear. Have you guys read Robert Greene and 50 Cent, the 50th Law?
I think I did actually.
I have
probably about 6. That's a little bit older, right?
Yeah.
I think I did. I think I listened to that on.
It's when 50 was at his peak, and with Robert Greene and the 48 Laws of Power, and so that he did a book with 50 on the 50th Law. It is amazing. And so if you guys, anybody listening in is struggling with a fear, listen to that book. You got to get a copy of it because they did it right. The leather cover, it's just slick how they did the whole book. But the whole premise of the 50th Law is fearlessness. And that's really what Robert Greene distilled from what made 50 get to where he was, is that he was just fearless. And so if you guys are struggling, kind of, man, I don't know, man, that's a great book. It's entertaining. It really is. 50 Stories is always cool. So that's a fascinating one. But I started listening to Adam Grant's new book called, that's what I was looking at while we were chatting, because Think Again. It's called Think Again. It's Adam Grant is amazing, and I'm just early on. I'm only in the first part, and in chapter 2, he talks about armchair quarterback and the imposter. And so, DJ, what you just said about arrogance made me think about his what is the armchair quarterback syndrome, which is your arrogance outweighs your competence. Your competence and confidence. So your confidence overweighs your competence. That's the armchair quarterback. And then he said the imposter syndrome is the opposite, right? Your confidence and competence. So you're really highly competent, but your confidence is not there. So that's the imposter syndrome. And so he's talking about, how do you, where do you find where you need to be? And he's talking about, it's just, you always stay hungry. You always looking to learn. Goes back to even, where am I less wrong? Elon Musk talking about, and that principle, and in principles that they talk about is, where I'm wrong, I'm just trying to be less wrong. And
Right.
That just keeps us hungry, like Matt, always seeking and searching and looking to how to improve. So it's just kind of cool when you can start to, step back and just analyze our thinking and where that fear is blocking us, in our thinking and stopping us from taking the action. It's awesome.
And I think too, there's just not in this industry specifically, like you talk to newer agents a lot, or people that are, that just aren't doing that great in the business right now. It's a lot of short-term thinking. Like, this is just another thing to try to make some money, as opposed to I'm going to make this a career. Because if you're coming in looking at it like that, like I'm going to be a killer on listings, and that's how I'm gonna do it, and this is gonna be my career, then you'll push through those times. But if it's just I just need another paycheck, like we see that all the time, like you need money, but you're not coming in and doing the things that are gonna make you money, because you don't want to push through that pain at the beginning. And there's this shiny thing here, there's this shiny thing here that, like, oh, that's gonna be easier for me, and I don't have to go through that.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, unpack that a little bit. I think this is huge because, most real estate agents can't think past their next commission check,
right,
let alone think 3, 12, 24, 36 months down the road, let alone, the big, hairy, audacious goal 10 years from now. So how do you coach them, the agents and the agents on your team and people that you guys are interacting, with on a daily basis? How do you coach them through that?
I think it's much like what you do with us. It's, where do you see yourself in 3 years? What does this year look like? Where do you see yourself long-term? Like, if this is just a part-time gig, you're not going to do any of these things that we're talking about, right? You're going to chase some buyer leads for 50-50 split, and that's going to be it. And you're never going to excel at it. But if like, hey, this is going to be my ultimately, this is going to be my career, then, and what does that career look like? Do I want a team someday? Do I want to just be a listing killer because I want my weekends? Do I not care and I just want to make as much money as I can for the next 10 years so I can retire? Like, it's getting really clear on what the end game is and what the goal is. A lot of people don't know that yet, though, at the beginning. That's the hard part. With a new agent, I don't know. I just need to pay the car payment. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't envision any of that. And that's where it gets difficult. And it's hard to kind of break through that, is what does the end game look like? And if they're not super clear on that, I feel like it does makes it harder to coach them, and it makes it harder to train them and bring them along, because you are always kind of looking a little bit for the shortcut. And the easy button, or the easy way out, or the quick deal, as opposed to putting the grind in to build yourself for the 6 months. Because that's the roller coaster. Everybody's just hurry up. You got some people, we got money, we got contracts. They squeeze them so tight until they close, and then they got nothing again.
The thing that both of you saying that resonated, that I was thinking about, is when you're very, very clear on where you want to be, like you said, your 1 year, your 2 year, 3 year, and having that big why. Matt, me and you talked about that a million times. You sat in the one day whiteboarding it, right? Like, what is the why? Where do you really want to be? The consistency, and I know you said this before, but that is everything, right? I'm reading a book right now called Attributes, this retired Navy SEAL, and he was talking about, they literally, since Buds was around, right, with Hell Week, it was just like, why do guys fail? And the number one reason was, it's 5 days, no sleep. They all, on their exit interview, basically said, I couldn't imagine 5 days. The ones who made it, it was all the mini victories. So it was, can I make it 30 more minutes? Can I make it 40 more minutes? And the other guys who had this exact same belief got around each other and said, we're going to be okay. Like, they're in boat crews of 5, right? It's always tried and true. The smallest guys, it wasn't the most athletic, wasn't the D1 athletes. Some of these guys couldn't barely run a mile or never swim for the first time. And it's just, when you think about it in business, it's like we talk about for even the calls, you say to somebody, it's 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day. It feels overwhelming, right? Just to say that is like, if you told me I got to go run a marathon every day, I'm like, that just seems daunting. But then if you think, hey, the goal is this, to get an appointment a day, no matter how you do it, get an appointment, and not think, like Matt said, 100. When you say 100, like, oh my God, that seems so hard. If you do the right things daily, every day, the compound effect comes into play. And that's when you don't even realize that it's like Matt said about Tim. I watched him every day do the right things and a lot of hard days. And all of a sudden it's like the floodgates open. It's like listing. That was all the effort, all the stuff that you didn't think was working. Right. So it's just that is so critical. Like that's the answer. It's just compartmentalizing it, having those wins. And also, John, you mentioned this, to us many times, being happy about the wins every day. You got to be happy about those wins, because that's what pushes you to say, you know what? Yeah, today wasn't a perfect day. It was still a really good day. I'm alive and breathing.
Let's take out some victories.
Yeah. Right. So it's like when you focus on the wins, that keeps you energized and jacked up to keep going too. Versus 3 hours, I didn't get an appointment. Like, you can't be down on yourself. You got to look at, hey, I got better today. Am I sharpened my skills? So you're
disciplined to it too, right? That's the number one attribute to anything success is discipline. And I remember working with in the golf, just with the kids and stuff. The ones that were the most disciplined were the ones that were the best, right? And so really trying to help them understand that, and it's no different. It's the same principle. I mean, I'm glad to hear you say that. I listened to something of Goggins. You said about those that failed because they envisioned the finish line, and those that succeeded were in the moment. And Goggins talking about that, and that's what he said. He said you had to you had to sit with whatever was happening in the moment, right? You couldn't allow your mind to think further down the road. You had to think right in that moment, and it is hard, especially when shit is going wrong, and it's so hard. You catch yourself, your mind's always running out there, and so being able to do that. And I would say for anybody that's trying to develop that aspect, whatever little phrase resonates with you, right? So we talk about, we want more balance. And really all balance is being present wherever you're at. Jesse Itzler says, be where your feet are. If you're having dinner with your wife, be there dinner with your wife. If you're working, be there working. And so many people, it's the exact opposite, right? They're sitting there having dinner with their wife, but they're thinking about business, or they should be interacting and engaging, with a client, but they're thinking about their kids. And it's really, really hard. And it's just when we catch ourselves in that awareness, we have the power to get back in the moment. And I think the more that we do that, the better mentally, mindset and being able to push through hard shit that we're able to do as we build that up over time.
It's funny you say that. I just caught myself doing that. I think it was last night. I had a ear pod in, listening to a podcast about something I wanted to, and I'm sitting there with my kid, barely paying attention. Like, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say,
I don't know. That's where I'm a little bit messed up. Like, DJ's messed up. We all know that.
We know that.
I'm a little bit messed up. Where I just am always like trying to. I just have like a sickness where I'm always trying to learn something new or improve in this business, like just make this better. And it just drives me crazy where I just have so many ideas in my and then I'm sitting there, like my wife will say something to me and I'll just be looking off into space. She's like, "What are you thinking about right now?" Yeah. And I'm like thinking about the revenue share plan. Like, how am I like, it's that's my kind of craziness, sickness, but
I really like
I'm doing that a lot.
Watching you, John, with how structured and disciplined you operate. But I feel like when I look at you, everything's in order, like your business, your personal, your health, your family. And when you consciously, like Matt just said, it's weird. He just said that. That's what happened to me last Sunday. Like, Sunday is always my day with my son. Matt needs a couple vacations a year. I want one day. I need one day to decompress, and then I can fly for the other 6. And I was on an important call, and this little guy, that's not even 3 yet, goes, "Dad, could you please get off the phone and play with me?" And it was like, it tugged at my heartstrings, right? And it's like when I am super focused on whatever that is, work is work, family time, workout, whatever, I'm happier. Because you know when you, I mean, it's just like working out. Like you've seen guys at the gym all the time. They're not focused. You're there for 45 minutes. You didn't get anything done. But there's a guy who goes in 20 minutes. He's drenched. It's like that dude was focused.
He got after
it. Right.
Well, yeah, I think like, and that's when I look at John, I look at your time blocks are so structured. Like your week is so structured. So, and I found myself like recently in that stage where it's like, I value every minute so much right now. Like if somebody's just absolutely wasting my time, I'm like, I'm not getting that time back. I could be getting something done so that I can have my mind off of that when I get home. So now that's like every time block I look at that. Like it's like there's only so many hours in a day. Right now I feel like I don't have enough. So it's like if I'm not being productive, like I don't want to sit and have lunch. I'm not going to lunch. I'm not like, there's certain things like I'm just not doing right now. Like every hour, if I got to drive somewhere for something stupid, it's like, I just wasted an hour of my day that I'm never getting back. So I'm like, that's like right now, that's where I'm at is like, I just look at every minute. Like I have to be doing something productive right now because I need the nighttime. And now I've been going, my kid goes to bed at 7:30. I've been up till midnight the last 2 nights, like working on stuff because we just switched systems. Like, so it's like every minute counts.
Yeah, I think making every minute count. That's moving you closer to freedom. That has to be the decision making filter, right? You know, we're not doing stuff to do stuff to close the deal. We better be doing stuff that's going to move us. It ain't about being more productive. It's about creating more freedom. Am I moving closer to freedom? Yeah. And I think, you know, the biggest shift for me in the last 3-4 months has just been the who not how principle. So, you know, and when I really, that really hit and really resonated. And, you know, instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to accomplish something, I immediately go to who. And, you know, Justin Nelson has to love me. That's all I can say. Like, you know, he's finding the fourth hire for us right now. Yeah. I mean, I've hired 3 people in just this year, and, you know, we got a 4th one on the way. And it's like, you know, if you want more, and this is what resonated. I heard Gary V say this, and I guess, you know, it's just reticular activator was firing. So I was just really aware. And he said, man, you know how you get more time? He goes, you buy it. And I'm like, got it. So, you know, you guys are listening in, you're struggling, and it's like, man, how do I change the question, right? Change your questions, change your results, change your question, change your life. And so, you know, that's all thinking is just making sure we're asking ourselves better questions. And we can think a little bit better. But I love what you guys said, helping, you know, knowing what freedom is. And I would challenge, let me ask you this, because DJ, you said, man, everybody needs to find a team. And I am 100% belief of that a newer agent absolutely has to align with a great team. Mm-hmm. So everybody listening in, what would give them some questions if they're interviewing a team? Like they need to be new agents getting in, they should be interviewing and looking for, what should they be looking for in a team to align, that's going to help them jumpstart their career if they're serious about, you know, this business.
To me, one of the most important is culture. Like when you, I mean, really, I say this to everybody, like being now over a year at EXP with you guys, I've never felt like this other than when I played college football. And Tim on our team was an Army guy, right? So there's that camaraderie, that aspect of like-minded people. I've never been around a group of people in my life with the like-minded culture and that I get excited to be around. So I feel like for us as a team, that's what we're able to bring to a lot of these folks. And you know, they said this week, it's like, man, just being around you guys is so different. Last place, it's like the agents, it's like that's where everyone's dying every day. Like, hey, like there's a water cooler, and it's just like, we're just gonna make some printing copies, and how's every like. So I feel like culture is the sticky part, right? And because there's a lot of smart individuals, but I think culture is a big one. And I feel like then understanding the path you want to go down, like Matt said, like everybody has a different path. I mean, there's some agents right now that are saying, I'm just going to work 5 straight years, no breaks, 7 days a week, retire. Others want, a little more balance, etc. So I don't know, Matt, what do you think? Culture?
Yeah. It's funny that you asked that, because I've been asking myself that question recently, because we start thinking about recruiting and agent attraction. Like, why would somebody want to join us? Right. And then I start because sometimes I think it's like that. And like you talked about, that imposter syndrome, right? Like there's more people that are doing, there are people that are doing more than us, right? Like why? But then, I start thinking about what, like a wealth of knowledge that someone is. Like, I think when you're looking, like when a new agent comes in and, we're training, whether now we have like DJ's training them on the sales side, we have like, the buy side business, we have like culture fit, we have there's nothing that I haven't come across in real estate at this point in time.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to go find a team, you've got to know that person has done it and has been through it. I think, sometimes you might only have, you've got somebody trying to build a team and they've been in the business 1 year. I've heard there's a couple people I've talked to recently in our market. It's like they've only been in the business 1.5 years, 2 years. Like they've only done 25 transactions. Like, how can they possibly
have an experience
on? Because that's the big thing now. Everybody wants their own team. Everybody wants a team. And literally, you're just not getting anything for being on it. And a lot of times, I always find myself going into, it's the leads. It's the leads. That's the only reason you'd be on a team, is the leads. And I have to remind myself that it's not that. It's the coaching. It's the calls. It's the questions. There's so much more to it. It's hard to, I find it hard to put on paper or to put it into in an elevator pitch, but there's so much more to it than just leads. Like, you could go somewhere and just get leads, but eventually there's going to be another step. And if that person's not doing listings, or not, you're either always going to be the person chasing leads, or you got to find another team, or you got to find another solution to tap into to do what you actually want to do. So I think there's got to be some alignment with where you want your business to go as well.
Right.
With you join.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is that, you said it a little bit earlier, goal driven, right? What's the goal? Because if you're not in a growth minded position, right? Like, if you're not a growth driven organization, there's not opportunity there. So this is, we say this all the time, looking for agents, clients, or even alignment at EXP, and it was the question you said, what do you envision, we're having this conversation 3 years from now. What does life have to look like personally and professionally for you to feel happy about your progress? And if they can't give you an answer and talk about, well, yeah, see, this is where I want to be, this is kind of the goals, then there's probably not an opportunity for a relationship to be there. And we need to move fast, right? You need to say, hey, I wish you the best. But this organization is not for you if you're not a growth driven, person that has goals, that wants to improve each and every day. And that, to me, goes back to what you said, DJ, culture, right? Do you establish that type of culture that allows people to grow? That's the biggest thing. So David Fleming's asking, new people wanting to align with him. He's able to generate some leads, but concern. What do we suggest? I think it's exactly what we're talking about, right? So what else do you offer? What else is value that you can offer to agents if you are even in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just what we were just talking about. There's got to be, you have to provide some type of sales training, or at least have the ability to tap them into something. That's what's great about the Honey Badger Nation. I think we don't take advantage of it enough. But I mean, you've got sales training, you've got this training, you've got that training. EXP has those traits. Sometimes it's almost too much where you really need to just go through everything and filter out and figure out. You could tie into everything that we're doing here and really create a video list, and that's your, have them tie into that type of training. But you need to be able to train them from a skills perspective. I think the biggest thing, I get so many agents that I talk to that are new agents in this market that I went to a Berkshire or a big company, and it's 60 days of like contract training and nothing about how to make money and get skills and talk to buyers on the phone. And a lot of newer agents, they don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to text. That's the easy way. They don't have to actually, pick. Like, there's certain things like that where it's got to be a certain type of sales training. There's got to be a little bit of like emotional support. I mean, you've got to have weekly meetings. You've got to have accountability. It's not easy when you're starting out. And if you've got nobody there pushing you or telling you it's okay or working you through it or helping you through a tough scenario, it's easy to quit. And that's why a lot of people do. They don't know where to spend their time. They don't know what to say to people. And when a tough time comes, the easy way is to quit, which is what, I think what a lot of people do. It's just like, that's like our culture today. It's getting tough. I'm going to go do something. So I think if you provide those three things, accountability, sales training, and some kind of like, emotional support, you'll give them everything they need, and the leads will help. It'll give them people to talk to and work. But I mean, if I had to put it down on like, what are the three things that most agents need, I think it's those three things.
I think you nailed it. Because innately, like there's a lot of agents that aren't salespeople, right? We have it on our
most are. Like when I was running Wise Hire ads, they did the disc profile on it. I mean, 9 out of 10 weren't salespeople that are applying for real estate positions. It's just, I want to look at pretty houses, right? It's HGTV. This is like, and then you come over and this is a sales position, dog. You got to pick up the phone. Like, this is like you see on TV, man. Like, so I think most aren't. So that's the biggest hurdle. Most aren't salespeople. They want to get deals off of TikTok. There's probably somebody doing it. She's probably a supermodel, and that helps. But it's like there's a certain part of it where you gotta be able to talk to people, and be able to sell the real estate proposition. Because if you can't, it's just never going to work no matter what you do.
Yeah. Well, then that's why also when you said like the emotional part, even if you're a killer, right? Killer salesperson, you can do it on your own. Again, going back to that book, The Attributes I'm reading right now, this guy even said, he's like, none of us could have made it through training by ourselves. No matter how strong or tough we're, even Goggins said it. He's like, I didn't do it alone. I did it because I had other dudes rallying. When I was down, they were up. When they were down, I was up, right? And that's where, like, even me, I mean, I feel like I could go out there and sell anything by myself, sniper, but I got bad days, and then I'll talk to you and it'll pick me up, or I'll talk to John, or I'll see a video from the other guys and I'm like, yeah, all right, I got this. Like, I
think, and sorry to cut you off, I didn't want to get this thought, like, because you just said that about you, right? I was just having this conversation with agent that just came over to EXP, right? He's more of an introvert. He's a tech guy. So we're talking about like, he's like, he needs some leverage, right? So his leverage isn't an assistant, probably. It's maybe an ISA out of the Philippines, generate more opportunities for him. He can close the deal. Whereas like Julie, she's murdering it, but she needs an assistant cleaning it all up, right? And that's with you. So like if you bring somebody in that's a new agent that's coming onto your team, I think having a disc profile on them is imperative, because you need to know how to coach them. Like coaching DJs 100 times different than coaching somebody else on my team. Like
100%.
Coach DJ is how to get it, because he's a sales guy. He's not consistent. He doesn't put the shit in the CRM like he knows he should. Like and then you got another person who's a high SC who everything's perfect, but they won't pick up the phone. They're still preparing to call. So it's like you gotta figure out what personality type you're dealing with too, and figure out how you can actually help them get over the hurdle that they're going to cause themselves, right?
Yeah, I love it. And there's the DISC is good. I really like the predictable success quiz that says, visionary, operator, synergist, or processor. And so, because when we started utilizing those two tests, that's where we found agents that were going to leave us. And before EXP, the team model, the fundamental flaw in the team model is your talent always comes out the top. That's a beautiful thing at EXP. You want to grow them to where if they want to grow and have aspiration of their own team, you're not going to lose them. There's still a financial alignment. And so what we were seeing by taking just those two tests, and there's some other great ones. I took the Colby. And another one not too long ago, just for myself, right? Just that self-awareness to see, kind of what your strengths, what you're good at, not at. But the predictable success quiz, if we found people that were visionary and they were a D driving personality, we knew they were going to leave us. It was just a matter of time.
Right.
And so, Adrienne has been with Stace and Reedy. She was with us. She's been there for 20 years. It feels like, but, we were like, well, why hasn't Adrienne left? And so looking at hers, she's an off the chart D personality, but she was an operator. She wasn't a visionary. And we're like, so there's a combination here of learning about your people. So if you guys listening in, if you're not, learning, what makes your people tick, kind of what, who they, who kind of they are, utilizing those assessments are key to understand that. And the thing with the DISC is that anybody can do anything. You could have a high C personality on the DISC and they can still crush it in real estate. But what you have to understand is like, where are they naturally in their lane?
Right.
So where's the energy going to not be exhausted? So a high C that's in a sales position is going to go home exhausted. Like exhausted
right.
at the end of the day, because that's not their natural energy lane. They're exerting more energy to do that than DJ, a DI ID type personality, where that's his lane, that's his jam. Like he go home, he even more pumped up.
It's right? So true, because as soon as I'm in CRMs, I feel like I'm exhausted.
Exactly. So that's what you have to understand that with your people. So and if you're having a team, you can help support them with that, right? So like if you're forcing DJ to put shit in the CRM, you're going to slow down what he's the best at. So get DJ an assistant, get him some help, right? Have your admin help him a little bit more. And so that's why I think it's key with those personality tests to learn your people. So, and this goes back to what you were saying, being able to provide support is that, okay, I see how you are. Let me give you a little bit of help here so you can thrive at what you do best.
I heard a great analogy on that the other day. I was listening to something. They said you could hire, if you're looking for a person who's 6 foot tall to be a stalker at a supermarket, you could hire somebody who's 5'10" and they could do the job for a little while, but eventually it's going to take its toll on them and they're going to quit. Right. So that's like the adaptive personality. Like you could get somebody to put the stuff up on the top shelf at 5'10", but they're going to have to go up on their tiptoes every time, and eventually it's going to wear on them, and they're going to quit. Like,
it's funny you said that, man.
With this, like,
yeah,
you can hammer those calls, but eventually, if that's just not you, you're either going to have to really push hard through it, or it's you're going to eventually not do it and quit. Like, right. So you kind of got to know what the attributes are and how to coach it and how to help it, even how to assist it. Like, we just switched to Wailopo. Honestly, it's the last 2 weeks. It was a big move, but it's been amazing, and it just goes to show how terrible we are at follow up, because there's like automated, like there's like hand raisers left and right that the automated intelligence is bringing back, but it's like that's something that we suck at. clearly, and now we're seeing that, well, technology can help us there. And now we know our agents can close deals when we get them. So how do we help get them more opportunities?
Yeah.
So that's doing it, right?
It's cool you said that, right? You know, most of us, we tend to, if there's an issue, we want to bring more people to try to solve it instead of stepping back and like, okay, is there a system or a process here that can help us solve what we're trying to solve?
Right.
And, you know, you're like, okay, well, the problem is the nurture and the follow-up. Getting more human resources on is probably not the answer. Maybe we can look at a technology that's out there that can help us solve it. And you know, I've never logged in. I've never seen YLOPO, but I always tell people to use it because just bet on the jockey. You know, Howard's proven, right? He's proven. He built Tiger Leads and sold it, and now he's doing this. And I always say the same thing. If Dwayne Legate got back in the game, I'd be like, whatever Dwayne's doing, you guys go get it because he gonna make it. He gonna make it gold. And Dwayne's probably the best I've ever seen at it. He listened and implemented better and faster than anybody I've ever seen, and it's fascinating. I mean, should write a book on what he did. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
For sure. Did you ever use Commissions Inc.?
No, I never did. I've looked at it multiple times, but I never did.
Yeah, fascinating. I mean, we were one of the first users on the platform, and it was terrible. But that just goes to great leadership. And I think anything with technology, you want to look at what's the leadership. That's why I have opinion on some other platforms and things out there that I would say stay away from because I know the leadership is terrible.
Yeah.
So, key. Fellas, I appreciate it. I love, man. We can sit here and jam all the time. I know you guys got a lot on your plate. And so we're off to St. Thomas, and then you guys are coming in to Puerto Rico. So getting a little busy, right? So you guys get in on Friday or
Friday. Yeah, quick little weekend trip down.
Yeah, so you guys go in Friday. We leave St. Thomas on Saturday. I think Jay leaves St. Thomas and come back over to Puerto Rico on Friday as well with you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. There was a couple questions in the comments. If Deej, if you want to, so like T was asking about third-party system for old expireds. What do you guys use to pull old expireds?
Vulcan 7, which comes with a single line dialer. And then I use Mojo to do double and triple line on the older ones, right? Just more at bats. But Vulcan, I mean, and I know a lot of folks use Redx as well. We've just used Vulcan forever, and it's working. So either or, I think are good.
Yeah. And then I can't see the name. It just says Facebook user, but Boomtown for 5 years. Hey, we had Boomtown as well. Loved it. Greer is fantastic. Great leader. That's why Boomtown is as great as it is. KV Core. Here's my 2 cents on KV Core. Solo agents utilizing it that need a CRM for the cost. There's nothing better.
Yep.
You're getting kind of a team platform dynamic with it. The way it's structured through KV Core and EXP team structure, it's all one. It's slow. It's clunky. That's been the feedback that I've gotten.
It is, yeah.
So
I would think you can't do that you should be able to do. Like it's honestly like we went to YLOPO and Follow Up Boss, and it's
to me that's the best tool.
Yeah.
That's the best tools in the industry right now is that combination, YLOPO and Follow Up Boss. That's just from what I've seen, agent success, betting on the horse. I mean, betting on the jockey. That's where I would, if team wise, if I was expanding, growing team, we would be utilizing those 2 tools. So,
and one thing we just tried too. We'll check back with us in 90 days. We uploaded that whole old expired list. It was like 5,000 names. And I think they got about 2,000 out of it at YLOPO, but they're just going to remarket that list and try to bring them back. So
I love it.
See how that goes. We just did that this week.
Cool. Can't wait for the update. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Really loved this conversation, and I know we'll do it again.
Sounds good, man.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank
See you
you
guys.
later.